What is going on, everybody? Man, Eric Wilson here. You know it's Monday night, and even though my team is playing right now, we are up over the Minnesota Vikings. Listen, I got responsibilities. I got a show to do, and I got a special guest. So welcome in. It is 10 p.m. Eastern. You know what time it is. Let me go ahead and get the crew in here. First and foremost, I got to bring my man from the left coast, the west coast, believe in the Pac-12 zone, Mr. Michael Carrot-Tenuto, as he always says, forks up, baby. What's up, Mike?
That's right, man. It was a tough weekend, as you know, in Sun Devil country, Eric. Tough weekend.
Hey. Your Cowboys won.
I know.
Just, take that for what it is. I still don't like you, but it's okay. I got love for you. You already know. Ladies and gentlemen, this next gentleman who I'm bringing on,
oh, boy.
as I say, I know. We shaking our heads already because we know he's going to run his mouth. I need to remind him that we do have a guest in the building this evening, but he is the 2-0 Miami Dolphins own Sideline Sports, Blue Hawks 13. Mr. John Shear is in the building.
As Roman Reigns would say, you got to acknowledge me.
Don't start. Don't start.
Almost 500 yards, 6 touchdowns.
Okay. All right. Listen,
came back
at some
to beat
point,
the Ravens.
Oh my God.
Down 35-14 in the fourth quarter.
John, congratulations. You're 2-0. Okay. We got a guest tonight. So let me go ahead and get him in here, please. Thank you. This man was gracious enough to join the sports arena this evening. He works with, he is co-owner of Creating Monsters out in Los Angeles. He also is a trainer for the Jordan brand. This is our man, Justin Maggs, is in the building. Justin, welcome into the sports arena, sir. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
So I am looking forward to having this conversation because I've heard so much about what you do and the impact you make on a lot of these athletes. One in particular that is near and dear to my heart who is playing right now, that is Lane Johnson for my Philadelphia Eagles. But for those who don't know, do us a favor, if you would, educate our audience. Just who is Justin Maggs and how did Creating Monsters come to evolve?
Well, it's a 20-year story broken down to probably like 60 seconds. My son was 5 years old at the time, and I was training at another facility, and my first three, I call them my original monsters, my OMs, Tyler Alice, Tyler Stywalt, and Nick Davila. And we're actually working out. It's a summer day, and it's a hot one. And I had my son with me, and long story short, they were just dripping sweat, and they were just dying, pretty much, I guess you say. And my son goes, "Hey, Dad, you're creating monsters." And ever since then, I just kind of kept that name, and then it just grew over time. And now, 15 years later, I've had the company there, and my son's gonna be 20 in November.
Wow, that's amazing, and congratulations. So talk to me about, just your affiliation with Jordan Brand and also all of the athletes. Like we've seen the list of those who are a part of the Jordan Brand, and I know in some capacity you work with them. They work with you. You are helping condition them, strengthen them, not only get them ready physically, but also mentally. Can you just take us through what part of that process looks like?
Well, Jumpman is just basically, it's obvious enough. It's one of the highest brands, in the world. Just Michael Jordan alone is the man himself. He stands alone, and everywhere you walk these days, you see Jordan 1s or Jordan 2s all the way up to Jordan 34, 35, 37s now. So Jumpman has a credibility of working with the best athletes in the world. And now we're sponsoring them and having Jordan brand athletes. And so I am in charge with every athlete that's we represent. And it's our quote unquote complimentary service to provide the best for our athletes, make sure they're on top notch and they're performing their best on their playing field.
John, Mike?
What? Yeah. And Justin, when you talk about that, I mean, every athlete, you always hear, it's tough to break down out. You always hear them say, oh, an athlete has a motor, they're this, they're that. But in working with them, what are some of the things you do to put them outside their comfort zone, but not to obviously get them too far to where they're, thinking they can't do something? What's that balance?
Well, I mean, first I treat them like actually a person. an average person. Like I'm a dad first. I'm the first one to say I'm a dad first. So a lot of these professional athletes are dads or moms themselves. So we can relate to them by being a parent. So it's that type of atmosphere that I create with them and saying, hey, your little boy, little girl's there, you better push a little bit extra, they're watching you. And but more importantly, it's just you got to think about the mind and what they're doing, how much stress they're involved in, all the publicity, all the fans and social media, everything that comes along with this title. um, my job as a professional coach or a personal trainer is to that word personal, be personal with them, make them as they know, like, they can be better no matter what, whether being as a parent, as an athlete, as just an average person. Because more importantly, when they retire, they're going to be like, I gave everything my all on to being the best I can ever be. And so, making them uncomfortable is by putting them in positions that they never used to, or even the point where I hate to say it, bringing it old school, or like them being like a kid. It's amazing now that um, these personal trainers or coaches are going a little bit too far out of the box as far as what they have to do. It's kind of like, make sure there's a basic foundation. Um, there is a plan. I always say make sure you have a plan, and plan B, plan C, all the way to Z, and then seeing what they like, what they don't like. And when they tell you they don't like something, guess what? You pick on that. So I mean, you just have a straight on conversation with these people, and just kind of like, oh, so I did this, da da da, and then in my own workout, and they go, oh, I don't like that. Okay, there you go. That was like a hint for me. Okay, I'm gonna put you in that position where I'll get you ready. And then more importantly, telling them, relating to them what they're in their sport, giving them a visual. We're going to perform this exercise here because we're going to be, imagine, say a baseball player, a shortstop, and we're saying, hey, we're going to put you do this workout here just because, just there's a scenario here. We want your body to be prepared for that scenario. So they visualize that play in their head, and they go, oh, okay, now I understand why you're doing this workout here, or this exercise, this drill, or even just mobility. And mobility is big right now in the industry. It's kind of weird now to see everyone with scrapings and cuppings and theraguns and all that stuff, and they're saying I'm a therapist, whereas it's kind of like I've been through a lot to go to school and to get these to be in the position I'm in right now.
And I don't want you to use any athletes. I'm not asking you to bust anybody, but you brought up social media, and we always hear athletes kind of, and I'm not picking on them, but talking on both sides of their mouth. Oh, I don't pay attention to any of that. I don't care. But they have social media account. How many have you heard of complain about what, like you said it, the average Joe or whatever the fans are complaining about? How many of your clients have you heard just maybe whining a little too much about social media?
All the time, all the time.
So they do listen. They're
they do listen, or um, they have some PR people that take control of that there, and they relate the story, and either A, they're like, you do what you handle it, or B, this is why I respond back. But it's more of uh, it's not so much of that hate mail as everyone says it is. It's just that sometimes these fans don't realize that these are people too, that they are human, they are sensitive to certain things. So just be careful what you say or do around them. And I think probably the best thing that's lasted me over 20 years doing this is that I treat them like they're my own kids, and treat them as they're a person, and just say, hey, how was your weekend? And how was the movie? How was dinner? Or I recommend a place to them, and they go there and we talk about it. So it's just kind of like average person. So there's kind of like, there's no fame behind it. It's just that I'm gonna treat you like an adult. That's what I want you to be, like an adult.
So I have a question because you brought up, just the mobility piece, and like we were talking about before the show here tonight on the Sports Arena. Our Queen of Hoops, Megan, couldn't be here, but she just wanted to talk to you about the WNBA and just, the combination of Jordan Brand and the WNBA, because we've seen, the Las Vegas Aces, shout out to them, just winning their first championship. And I know that a few of their players are under the Jordan Brand.
Right.
So have you had the opportunity to train them? And if so, what is it like preparing and conditioning female athletes as opposed to male athletes?
Well, I haven't yet. We have several coaches on our staffs, and I guess assigned to specific athletes.
Okay.
But I actually am strength director at a local junior college, two junior colleges over here where I'm at. I'm also a professor too at a junior college. I just accepted the basketball strength conditioning coordinator position at Riverside City College, and it's women's basketball. Alicia Berber, she's awesome, and she hired me to just run that program there. And then at Pasadena City College, I'm actually the strength director for the whole school, so I have to deal with all sports where football, basketball, baseball, women's basketball, women's softball, volleyball there too. So I have to have that curriculum ready for that school there too. So I am totally used to training women athletes, female athletes, say women, and I love training female athletes. They are the best because they actually get it and they understand it, and
They don't have an ego.
they have no ego. It's kind of like it's just straight work. And I just call them, they're my dogs. They are fun to train. This past summer I had um, probably my best summer class for softball athletes. We had them all the way from LSU, Texas, Cal State Fullerton, UNLV, and New Mexico State, New Mexico. And these girls are, they're the best in my eyes. Everyone says I have the best athletes, but like overall, as females and adults, they are the best athletes I've got to work with this year, this summer, and I can't wait to continue this road towards a different route that I like to try out still. Especially now with the basketball team at Riverside. I can't wait to get started with that group there. And I heard they had some good recruiting this year. And Alicia, she's does really really well with recruiting and getting girls out there. She's like best friends with Cheryl Miller. So
Okay.
I get to finally meet her and chop it up a little bit and
Don't
say,
tell Mike that. Mike's going to come out there and join you.
I love
man,
that. She used to coach the Mercury, Justin. She was their first coach.
I know.
And when
I
I
know.
was interning at a station here in the sports department, some of the reporters didn't want to go out. I'm like, I'll go out. And man, some of the best interview, and even just talking basketball. And I turned to her, I said, so that's why all your brother's colleagues always let him know that you're the best player in the family.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to even ask her that question. I go, hey, who's better, you or Reggie? So
Cheryl.
She'll
Yeah,
tell
I'll
you.
say it.
I'll call her
Cheryl.
Cheryl, so Cheryl, but I can't
Hey,
wait.
John, go ahead, man.
I think you guys got my questions.
All right. So, I mean, listen, we've got a lot to jump into. And Justin, you're going to hang out with us through the entire show, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, perfect. All right. So then, one last thing I do want to ask you off the field, when you leave the weight room, the training room, all of that, and you're in your home and you're a dad, can you just speak to that work-life balance? Because so many people are trying to figure it out. You just said you've just taken on, uh, two colleges. You're also a strength and conditioning coach. You have your own brand creating monsters, and you're a dad. Like, how do you compact all of that into a work-life balance?
Well, it's kind of it's. I'm not gonna say it's easy. It's not. It's not the easiest thing in the world, especially when you're a business owner. I was married with my first son's mom, and the work life, it put a toll on us. It really put a toll on us, and bless her heart, and she held on long as she could, and just we that work life just overcame everything. And then now, um, learning how to balance a family life, that's probably the hardest thing to do. But um, I think now when I put my foot down and tell everyone like, hey, I'm a dad first, in order to work with me, you got to know I'm a dad. So I'm a parent and I'm a family man. So if there's some type of disagreement as far as scheduling or don't agree with the way how I manage my time, I can't work with you just because you got to understand that I have two perfect boys in my eyes and that I want to be there. I mean, my son Damien's going to be 20 and my son Jace is going to be 3, which are a day apart in birthday. So
Oh
November
wow.
November 23rd, November 24th are my 2 days off. So I only get 4 days off out of the year, which is my birthday, which is that's the most important birthday in the whole world. Um, my two sons' birthdays, so that's 3, and the fourth one is Christmas. So I learned to balance my life by literally just stopping and just saying, you know what, I can't do it. I can't be here all the time. I can't train you at these times, because I want to spend time with my boys there. So if anyone want to know, is it easy? No, it's not easy. You just got to learn how to time manage and everything. So if everyone wants to know what's a day of life, so wake up at 4:15 a.m. I get to the facility by 5:10. I start work at 5:30, and I work all the way to 11:30, 11 a.m. And then from there, I go down to downtown LA to work at a Jumpman facility, and then at noon to about 2 o'clock, 2:10, I get on the car and hop to Pasadena, which is about a 20-minute drive. LA traffic, so uh, which is an hour. But then from Pasadena, I'm there from 2:45 to 4:45 with the football team there, which by far I have a great staff there. They accommodate my time there, and once 4:45 kicks in, boom, I'm already out. I'm out the door, and then drive all the way back to Glendora where I live, which is 9 miles, but it takes 50 minutes to get back home. Um, and I spend literally 15 minutes with my little boy, my little gonna be soon 3-year-old, before he goes to bed at 6:30. Then I'm on the road from 5:45. Takes me 15 minutes to get back to the facility in Walnut. So I do like a complete circle. I work from 6 to about 9 o'clock at night, and then I go home, and then I do all over again. And that's
Wow.
that's Monday through Sunday pretty much there. And everyone goes, "How do you do it?" And I'm like, I just do it. It's work.
Sir, I mean, even though my hat is backwards, I tip my hat to you because that is amazing. The dedication that you put into not only your craft but also your brand and to your family, that just speaks volumes. The world needs more Justin Mags. Let me just go ahead and say that. Mike, last one, then we gotta take a break and keep it moving.
Yeah, Justin, I was going to say real quick. I mean, you said you let them know first you're a dad. Not that I mean they're going to want to see the results. Obviously, know what you've gotten with other clients. But do you feel obviously a lot of them are mothers or fathers that it's kind of been easier to get clients because of your results and they know that about you first?
Right. And it's all about recommendations. So I'm really, really bad at marketing, which is that's why I finally have an agent who does everything for me. Her name's Jessica Campbell at PO3 Agency, and then also to Bobby Flick. I just partner up with him, a Diamond Baseball Group there. So I became their head strength trainer for both those companies there. And so what they do is they do all the marketing for me, and all I gotta do is just pick up the phone and say, hey, we got you this client there, we got you this person here, we're going to work with them, and that's it. That's how I get people in the door. So they do all the preaching for me. And then I have a lot of kids that I work with currently, all the pro guys and all the college guys, they're going to turn pro. They just tell, hey, we got this guy back in Walnut, and you might want to work with him. And then that's how I build up there. So IG, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, I'm on it. But then again, I'm not really on it, which is really, really bad. So I just have people speak my name, and I get phone calls or I get text messages and say, hey, we heard about you, and I'm like, okay, let's roll. That's it.
That's amazing. That is so great. Justin's going to stick around with us throughout the rest of this show. I am going to pre-apologize for John Shear because he's probably going to not shut up the rest of the show tonight here on the Sports Arena. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I do want to talk about some things that happened in the NFL this weekend. More with the Sports Arena and our special guest, Creating Monsters, Justin Maggs, in just a moment. You see that score, baby. You know what time it is. Phillies up over Minnesota Vikings 24-7 in the third quarter. Shout out to our man. This is the producer in the background tonight holding it down for us. I'm telling you, very soon he is no longer going to be able to call himself the sports reporter without pay. That brother fitting to get paid, and I'm telling you, it's coming sooner rather than later. Believe that. Anyhow, welcome back into the sports arena. Your man Eric Wilson alongside Believe in the Pac-12's own Mike Carrot Snudo, Sideline Sports, John Shear, and of course our special guest from Creating Monsters founder Justin Maggs. All right, gentlemen, let's get to these topics tonight because I got some questions and y'all know what, I need some answers. Let's start with the biggest comeback this weekend. If I was to ask y'all of these three teams, the Jets, the Cardinals, or the Miami Dolphins, which team had the best comeback yesterday? And let me just start by saying, to those who know me and to those Jet fans that I have disappointed, I am officially apologizing. You know who you are. I'm sorry. I should have picked you yesterday and I didn't. But I have to be honest. The best comeback for me yesterday was Arizona Cardinals. Just because I know what Kyler Murray, the daunting task of not having a DeAndre Hopkins, taking that game to overtime, finding A.J. Green in the back of the end zone, and then for that defense to be able to scoop it up and run it into the end zone, I think, to me, my opinion, best comeback from yesterday. I'm going to go to our special guest, Justin, and then we'll go to Mike. And, of course, we'll end with our man, John Shear. But, Justin, for you, of those three teams, who was the best comeback yesterday?
I'm with you with Arizona Cardinals by far. Just what he has right now, and then it's for what he can do. I mean, that's what he did within the last quarter, and just putting the team on his back, and just got the dub. I want to say Arizona Cardinals on that one.
Mike?
Well, Ray's going to love this answer in the background because I'm giving the pseudo-me answer. I want to go with you in the Cardinals, but not because of what Kyler Murray was awesome. Isaiah Simmons got beat up here all week. I'm just going to leave that like that, Eric, because of Kansas City. Isaiah Simmons, who I loved as an 8th pick, got beat up, and that hit he put on Hunter Renfro's still asleep, man. That was disgusting. But it's got to be the Jets, Jets, dog. My mom's team, they actually got to win, and no one would think the Jets could come back from 13 points down with that little time to win in the last decade and a half. Let's be honest. Come on. The Jets had the biggest one. They're 1-1. They are not over like we thought they would be. The Jets' biggest comeback yesterday. Go Jets! And I mean, come on, old man Flacco. That was a laser.
All right.
I was trying to give you my glasses. Like I thought maybe you were blind or something. Jeez. Like, how can you guys not pick the Dolphins? This is just stupid that
because we know you're going to, John. You're going to talk about it for the next 6 minutes.
Like, seriously, you're talking about Kyler Murray who did nothing all game. Then he comes back. Doesn't even win it for them. They win it because of the beautiful hit and the beautiful play by the defense in overtime. The Raiders just didn't seem like they wanted to win that game. Like, the Raiders are in trouble. I mean, the Dolphins were down 28-7. Then 35-14 in the fourth quarter. And what's Tua do? Throw about 200 yards in the fourth quarter and 4 touchdowns. Like, in Baltimore, M&T Bank Stadium. Like, ain't nobody scared of the Browns. Ain't nobody scared of the Raiders. Like, you go into M&T Bank, that's a house of horrors for almost every opponent. And the Dolphins went there, and I've been a Dolphins fan all my life, and every coach we've ever been through, you get down big on the road, fold it up, go home. This is the first time I've ever seen a coach rally the team and the team not just roll over and die when they're down big on the road. Like, it's a different feeling in Miami, and this is one of the biggest comebacks we've ever seen, especially after what Lamar Jackson did with that 75-yard touchdown. Like, has to be the Dolphins. That's insane, man. I've never seen stats like what Tua, Waddle, and Hill did all in one game. Nobody's ever done that, a trio. Nobody. It's the first time we've ever seen that. History of the NFL over 100 years. Come on, man.
Okay.
That's
facts, Mike. You can't me. That's facts. I'm giving you facts. You can't dispute facts, Mike.
Okay.
I can dispute the Dolphins are lucky.
Can you put us on the screen for a minute, please? Because I have to ask John Shear a question, a serious question here. John Shear, can you please tell our Sports Arena audience Who did you pick to win that game between Miami and Baltimore?
Look, the way I do pick'ems,
No, no,
because
no,
I
no, no,
put
no, no, no,
No, answer
no,
the
no,
question.
no.
the way
Answer
I
the
do
question, John.
pick'ems is
Just say who
I
you
like
pick.
to pick
Just say who you pick,
against
John.
my team.
Who'd you pick?
That way, if they lose,
John, who'd you
at
pick?
least I get a consolation prize. If they win, of course, my team wins.
No, John, who did you pick?
I picked the Ravens. It's a
Okay, all
smart
right.
thing
So
to do
this
in
is
a
what I want
pick'em.
to say to you. No, this is what I want to say to you. You, sir, sit here. You sit on the sports arena. You sit on Sideline Sports. You're on Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel.
You
And
can't
all
pick
you
your team to
do,
go 17-0.
John Shear, all you do is you sit and you talk about the success of the Miami Dolphins. Each and every time you get an opportunity to throw their name in the hat, that is exactly what you do. Okay?
Mhm.
So I am of the mindset that if there is one team that I know John Shear is going to ride with each and
Of
every
course, I
week,
ride with my team,
it is the
but
Miami
the
Dolphins.
smart pick
John
in
Shear.
this game, before yesterday, the Dolphins have never in the history of M&T Bank Stadium never won there. Ever. 98 it opened, they've never won in that stadium. Why would I go against history when the Dolphins have historically gotten their ass kicked in that stadium and they've never
Because
won there? Like,
you're the
you
guy,
have to,
John. You're the
but
guy
I'm a stats guy,
who
I'm
will
a
sit
history
here
guy.
and
I have
talk
to
all
go.
preseason long about how great Tyreek Hill is and how
course.
Tua is so underrated. So if there
Of
was
course,
going
but
to be an opportunity for you to change the mindset of everybody else, it would have been this week,
you're
John.
going to lose games. And like I said, historically, they've never won in that stadium. They
John.
always get beat up in that stadium. I have to go with history. I have to go with
Okay.
stats and
All right.
facts.
All right.
I don't go with bias. I have to go with stats and
Then
facts.
then
That's what
John,
I
you're
do.
not a true Dolphins fan.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Oh well, wait, Eric, hold on, because I know I was the only one that picked it. I'm not even going there. Well, stats and facts would show you that Joe Burrow is going to get sacked 11 times again anyway. So stats and
I
facts.
was asked about
defense
that
wasn't gonna
game
go.
yesterday, and I
Hey,
was
hold on. That defense could do it. So stats and facts, you should have picked the other way, and you didn't. And you should have picked your Dolphins because they
I was
got to win
asked
there
about
sometime.
the Cowboys game yesterday, and I said that the Cowboys can hang with them by playing defense and running the football. They did exactly what I said they would do. I didn't think they could finish the job, but I
right.
said that they could
All right.
hang with the Bengals.
Let me
and I
get
was right.
Justin in here real quick because Justin, I do have a question that I want to ask you, sir. Do you have a favorite NFL team? I know you work with a lot of athletes, so you might be truly unbiased. You might just be a fan of the game, and that's perfectly fine. But do you have a team that you rock with each and every week?
I don't.
Okay,
I don't.
fair enough, and that's fair. I understand that. As a trainer,
actually growing up because my dad is from Texas, so it's been Dallas. It's always been
okay,
Dallas.
all right. I won't hold that against you. It's okay. But
Well,
it's
listen
not.
to him, Justin. You're
But
good.
does it hurt knowing that I play for the Chargers too?
Oh no.
Oh wow. Okay, no, not at all.
Superchargers? Absolutely not. The
Yes,
powder
sir.
blues.
I mean,
Best uniforms
no.
in football. The powder
I'm just
blues.
saying, I mean, I could root for the Chargers because I did make it to training camp one time and then got cut really quick, but or the root for my dad's team. But then again, when I started working with a bunch of other guys with different teams, it was kind of like, who do I root for? Especially when they play each other.
Right.
It's kind of like, all right, who am I gonna pay? I go, who paid me the most that day? That's all I'm gonna say. Then I'll root for you.
I like this guy.
Smart man. Smart man. I love that. I love that. I will close by saying this and then we will move on. John, you know me, okay? We've been rocking together for the last 3-4 years, my brother. And what do I say every time football season comes around and we have to do picks? There are two teams I pick each and every week: the Philadelphia Eagles and whoever's playing Dallas. I don't care if I'm right or wrong about those two picks, John. But I will always pick my team. Do I anticipate them in my heart, in my gut, feet to the fire sometimes? Do I think they're going to win? If you put my feet to the fire, John, sometimes I'm going to say no.
Right.
But I will
That's just
never,
realistic.
I will never, ever on paper side against my team.
Yeah, but I
I'm gonna
like to
leave it at
win.
that.
I'm a competitor. I like to win at whatever I do.
I don't like
So
to
if you're
win. The
put me in a
Dolphins haven't
pick
done
'em,
anything since '72. You don't like
if
to
you put me
win.
in a pick 'em, I want to win. Whatever you put me in, I'm a competitor. I want to win at everything I do. So if
Oh,
it's pick 'em, I want to win in that. I don't care if I got to pick against my team. I want to win no matter what it takes. I'm
Okay.
a
All
competitor,
right.
man. That's what it is.
So let's move on here tonight on the Sports Arena. And again, big thank you to Justin for joining us, the co-founder of Creating Monsters. Let's talk about the biggest disappointment so far this season. I know we're 2 weeks in, but we have got to talk about this. So we got three teams here, gentlemen, and I want to know from y'all who's the biggest disappointment thus far. Is it the AFC champs from last year, the Cincinnati Bengals, Matt Ryan, and the Indianapolis Colts, or Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, Josh McDaniels, and the Las Vegas Raiders? Mike, I'm going to start with you on this one.
You can only pick one, Mike, not all three.
don't worry. I mean, the Dolphins should be up there, but it's disappointment, not shock that'll fizzle out. I go with the Colts, Eric. I just think that you have your offensive line has been very solid. They don't have the other. They definitely don't have the issues the Bengals offensive line does. And I know it's revamped-ish, but they didn't get to play with Burrow all preseason because of his appendicitis. But yeah, I go with the Colts. I think what Matt Ryan again got beat up on a little bit yesterday. They don't look fluid on offense, and the defense. Look, Jacksonville's improved. Everybody said they overspent on Christian Kirk, which is funny, and maybe they did. But through games, 14 receptions and almost 300 yards. You'll take it. But that defense in general, I don't get it. Yes, like I said, Jacksonville's offense is better, but the one thing we haven't doubted the last few years is the Colts defense. So I just think Frank Reich, he's got to be a little frustrated. Your boy, obviously, Frank Reich's got to be frustrated because when you look at what he's done with quarterbacks that he's had, and granted, having a new quarterback the last 3 seasons every year makes it tough. But the fact that offense has laid such a it's a stinker. It's terrible so far, and their defense is reflecting the offense in a way. So that's why when I was looking at all this stuff this afternoon, to me, the Colts are the biggest disappointment.
All right. Justin, who do you think is the biggest disappointment? And again, we're only 2 weeks in, but there were expectations for these particular three teams that we figured they would be at the very least 1-1, if not 2-0 to start their season based on the additions that they have made, the changes, the new coaching. Who, in your opinion, is the biggest disappointment, sir?
Well, I don't want to say it too loud just because I'm in LA, so it's we got a big nation down here. So I'll say the Raiders. I'm not gonna lie on that one. Raiders spent a lot of money to revamp their offense. I mean, they showed it, that they can move the ball, and then defensive wise, they spent a lot of money on their edges, but next time we still can't seal the edges there. I just want to say the Raiders. And, they've been so close, and interceptions, fumbles. Obviously not that fumble yesterday was just kind of like really a shocker of how the game ended. But even like the week before, Derek didn't throw 4 interceptions. That game, 3 or 4 interceptions in that game. I think they're moving that ball. They just no one can withstand Adams at all. So but then again, the Chargers do look pretty good this year too. But I'm gonna say right now the Raiders.
All right, John Shear, who do you got?
Yeah, I have to agree with the Raiders only because I don't think that the Colts are. I don't think anybody's putting them necessarily in the Super Bowl. We've heard a lot about how the Raiders could win the division, how they could potentially get to the Super Bowl with their revamped offense. I've heard a lot of that stuff, and they came out and blew this game. Like Derek Carr's, his body language is just terrible. You watch the throw in overtime to Devontae Adams that almost got intercepted on that drive, and he threw it behind him, and it was just a terrible throw. Him and Adams are not on the same page at all. At least they weren't yesterday. I mean, the like I said, like the Bengals will wake up. The Bengals got a Super Bowl hangover, but they'll wake up. Not worried about them. But the Raiders in that division, you're already 0-2. You cannot fall behind, and they already are. They they got to be my biggest disappointment. And Broncos, you're lucky you got a win against the hapless Texans because you'd be on this list too.
You know what, John? I actually have to agree with you on that. I think if the Broncos would have lost because their fans were, it's bad when the fans are counting down the play clock. Okay. And they're booing you even though you make a play. All right. I mean, that was just crazy. But, I have to agree with Justin and with John. It is, in fact, in my opinion, the Las Vegas Raiders. Think of it like this. Okay. First off, you've got Derek Carr. You've got Josh Jacobs. You've got Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfro, Darren Waller. Those are all your offensive guys, 5 weapons, okay? Then on the defensive side, you've got Max Crosby. You've got Chandler Jones. I'm thinking to myself, when I look at this team, how in the world, and please, somebody correct me, haven't they lost both games at home?
First one was in LA, I
It was
believe.
First
LA.
one was in LA. Okay, all right. So they lost their home opener and they lost. Okay, all right. I wasn't sure. But I'm saying to myself, and I'm going to ask Phil Jones about this shameless plug on Thursday for Alex Fleming's NFL Carousel because I'm like, Phil, what is going on with your team? But John hit the nail on the head. When you've got a Kansas City and you've got an LA Chargers, this was supposed to be the best division in the entire NFL. These teams were not supposed to beat up on each other. They were supposed to beat up on everybody else. And we're not seeing it. We truly are not. So Raiders, please, black and silver, excuse me, figure it out. Real quick, let me ask you guys, of those 3 teams, who is the most likely, and John, you think you already answered this, to right the ship? You said the Bengals, John.
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
Justin, let me ask you, of these 3 teams, which team is most likely to turn it around and make a case for getting into the postseason?
Cincinnati. I couldn't agree with them more. I mean, they showed it last year they can do it with that team and now, and then I think they need to figure out and just kind of find their niche again, uh, and they'll ride the ship pretty well together with Joe.
Mike, who you think?
Well, I'm going with what everybody else is negative on the Raiders. First, I'll say because all the parts you mentioned, right now, Hunter Renfro, I know is being checked for a concussion. Eric, that's one thing I do know that. I mean, like I said, that hit by Isaiah Simmons, it wasn't dirty, but when you see it, I mean, he rocked his whole body, and people say, "Oh, receiver needs to hold on to the ball." Go ahead, take a hit like that. I don't have to tell you, Justin. Obviously, take a hit like that from somebody coming like that, and he just hit the ball and it flew out. But to me, I say the Raiders with all the weapons you talked about, yes, dropping their first game to the Chargers and the interceptions and getting sacked 5 times too. But look, Kyler Murray. Here's the thing: if you go upfield too far on Kyler Murray, we've seen since he's been in the league. Guess what? If he's even, you're not catching him. It's done. Like he doesn't look like he's moving, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, why is that defender standing still? But look, it is going to be a tough road for the Raiders at 0-2. But of these 3 teams at 0-2, and because of Cincinnati, again, division-wise too, how those games go, John just alluded to what M&T Bank is. I mean, they're going to have battles with Baltimore. Baltimore still got a terrible taste in their mouth from the Bengals. So do I think Burrow and Chase and that crew can do it? Yeah, but I have the most faith, especially seeing how terrible the Indianapolis defense has been. I have the most faith in the Raiders turning it around.
Here's what I will say to you. And as much as I am not a fan of certain quarterbacks in this league, in a division that I don't think has a winning, one team has won yet, because Tennessee
Jags
basically got taken to the woodshed.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Jacksonville's the only team with a victory right now over the first 2 weeks. Matt Ryan. Let me look into the camera when I say this. Matt Ryan, please, sir, understand this. You have a defense that bends and doesn't break. You have weapons at your disposal. You have one of the best running backs, I would say top 5 running backs in the league today, right now, currently. All you have to do is be a game manager. That's it. Stop losing. Because the Indianapolis Colts have a tradition of winning. I don't know what happened after Andrew Luck left, because then you got Phillip and he was good, and you had Carson for 1 year, and now it's you. But please believe you will be the reason that people love you or want you out of Indy. Utilize your talents, reinvent Matty Ice somehow, some way. It's cold in Indiana. So reinvent Matty Ice and take this team to the postseason where they belong. I feel the Indianapolis Colts can right that ship. I really, truly do.
I can see that, especially in that division too. Oh gosh, Ray Lynn. Oh come on, Ray, Matt Ryan. God, everybody.
We should give him his props for passing for 60,000 yards in his career.
John, that's what I'm saying to you.
Yeah, like
he has the
each
ability.
player ever to do that.
100%.
He has the ability. We just need to see it translated. Okay, let's get to our last topic here tonight on the sports arena. And we at the Sports Arena and all the Sideline Sports Network wish for a healthy and speedy recovery for one Trey Lance. Okay, we do not want this young man's career to be over before it even got started. We anticipate his return. We want him back better. We want him back stronger. And we want to see what the number 3 overall pick from 2 years ago's draft, we want to see what he's capable of. But he is out. And Jimmy G is back as a starter for the San Francisco 49ers. John Shear, what does this mean now that Jimmy's back in the lineup as the starting QB?
What does it mean? It means they actually have a chance to win. Like nobody knew what Trey Lance was going to do. You know what you get from Jimmy G. He's not going to win you the games, but he's not going to lose you the games. He'll make some nice throws for you. He has chemistry with Kittle. He has chemistry with Debo. He has chemistry with Ayuk. Like, he has chemistry with the offensive line. Trey Lance has none of that because he's not really played in this offense. His only game this year was basically in that monsoon. Then last year he played a couple games here and there. So we haven't seen Trey Lance. He hasn't gotten any opportunities with this offense, whereas Jimmy G's been with this offense for a while. He has, the routes, the timing, all that stuff that you need as a quarterback with your line and your receivers and running backs. He already has all that stuff. So he's not going to lose you the game, and they have a really good roster as is. And the NFC is wide open for anybody to take. So that it gives the Niners a chance to win the NFC. Not because of him, but because they have stability and the rest of the roster should be able to take care of business.
So, Justin, John brings up stability. And I think a lot of that goes into, what you do with Creating Monster and being a trainer for Jordan Brand. It's teaching not only the fundamentals, but the conditioning them to be able to sustain those hard hits that Mike talked about. What does it mean when you see this happen to a player? Like, what goes through your mind when you see a player have an injury like what Trey Lance has suffered?
Well, I mean, it's not going to be – it can't – the first thing a lot of the fans will be like, okay, what was he doing in the offseason? What was he doing? Was he training? What was the training like? Because the first thing everyone's going to say that was the trainer's fault, and you can't really predict that. It was just a freak accident, and it's just more like, was there injured before that no one knew about? Or was it just one of those positions where he just got hurt? So you really can't really say anything as far as, okay, what, why, or how it happened. Sometimes it's just a freak accident. To me, the way I saw it was just a freak accident. His body just was not there to support it. And then for all we know, he could have had an injury before, and that was just way to just give out, and I hate to see stuff like that happen. And I know that he'll come back stronger next year, and I just feel bad for the organization because they put all eggs in one basket for this individual to shine, and now there's just kind of like, all right, well, let's go with the old playbook from last year and the year before that. They got us pretty far in postseason, and let's see if it's Jimmy can do what he's taught.
So, Mike, what do you think, sir?
Yeah, I mean, look, and Ray always says this, and him and I have agreed on that. I mean, like winning, just being a quarterback statistic is hilarious, especially with how dependent everyone is in football. I mean, the ultimate team game, right? But Kyle Shanahan is still 35-15 with Jimmy G and 9-27 with everybody else. So I mean, look, to John's point, is he gonna lose you games? Probably not. No. Is he going to win you games? Yes, he does have the ability to do it. I mean, I liked his mannerisms in the press conference yesterday. Obviously, not wanting, Trey to get hurt, but and yeah, to John's point, I mean, it is literally on the job training for Trey Lance because of COVID, and he just said, forget this. I'm coming out of college, and I'm going to see what happens. The Niners traded up. We all thought it was going to be for Mac Jones. They like Trey Lance. Do I think Trey Lance has a huge ceiling? Absolutely. But did he need the on-the-job training? To John's point, that's why I said in the beginning of the season, Niners probably go 10-7, maybe kind of take a little step back. But that's because the players John mentioned on offense, what you guys mentioned on offense. Plus, we know that's a championship defense. Like, it'll compete defensively with anybody. So when you look at what the Niners do, what Kyle Shanahan wants to do on offense, and Ray could put up the crying picture of Matt Ryan again since Kyle Shanahan didn't want to run the ball up 28-3. But hey, I digress. Sorry, Falcons fans. You look at what Kyle Shanahan wants to do with an offense. Jimmy G, thank you. Jimmy G can do it. And I look at it as now and even tonight on the Monday night countdown show, and even all over the radio today, people are saying like now it's a Niners team that can still go toe to toe with the Rams in that division, depending on DeAndre Hopkins coming back for the Cardinals, but it's a team that's a championship-ready team. And Eric, I'm vomiting in my mouth as saying this, how I feel about that team. But I look at what Kyle Shanahan wants to do and take the reins off of Jimmy G a little bit. I mean, like we talked about with Kansas City, it didn't happen, but they're literally one pass away in the Super Bowl from beating the Chiefs.
Well, also what it does, Mike, and the big thing, because I've had George Kittle in fantasy. The difference, like, I've seen George Kittle. He plays a lot better when Jimmy G is there. When Trey Lance is there, the connection isn't there. But when you have Kittle, who has a connection with Jimmy G, Kittle's arguably your best weapon. Debo or him is your best weapon, and those guys play a lot better with Jimmy G.
But John,
out there.
But John, what do they always say? But John, real quick, what do they always say? What's a young quarterback and a rookie quarterback's best friend?
No, I understand that.
I get the chemistry with Jimmy G.
But if you're maximizing the best guy with George Kittle and with Debo Samuel, guess what that does? It makes your offense the best 100%. It can be because those are your two best players.
100%. And I was picking on Kyle Shanahan a little bit, but at the same time, I mean, we know he's a phenomenal offensive mind and a play caller. I mean, his rhythm to games, when you watch it, and having to see it against the Cardinals a few times, getting to see it up close and personal, his rhythm to games is sick. And he will run. I mean, he does run the ball, but Jimmy G, you're right. I mean, it makes that rhythm easier, but they wanted to get Trey Lance going. And when you have a championship defense, you can have a quarterback that goes through growing pains. And again, like I said, like Eric said perfectly, like prayers and like speedy recovery to Trey Lance. And I mean, it's going to be a tough road. And the Niners probably aren't going to know what they have for another 2 years in Trey Lance now.
And the thing is, Eric, I wanted to touch on this point about this team is, like, they're in such a win now mode with such a great roster. You really don't have the time to watch Trey Lance grow up. Like, you got to have stability right now with the roster that you have, Eric.
I couldn't agree more on that one. That's by far. I mean, they have every tool in the toolbox to go pretty far, and they want to just kind of like, all right, reinvent the wheel. It's just kind of like, hey, we got a good thing going for us. Why try to change something that's not broken? Just gotta do is fix up a little stuff, and I think they'll be really fine.
That brings up this question, though. I mean, I listen. I respect all of y'all and what y'all are saying, but then that brings up this question: if you have everything in a win now mentality, okay, and this is I won't call it your all-in move, but you circled the wagons and you built this team to where it is ready to succeed, ready to bring home a ring now. Why did you make the investment in Trey Lance? And I know we only got about 5-6 minutes left, but that's my question. If Jimmy G was your guy, and as Mike said, 35 and 19, Mike, 35 and 9,
35 and 15,
35 and 15. If you have a proven quarterback and you, as Ray likes to say, you added those complementary pieces, why are you going out and getting some other side dish?
But I can answer that question. Your question is what I was going to say. So I was going to answer your question before you asked it. To John, to your point, when you're saying that, and Justin, to you, you have a championship defense. And once you do that, you can put, and as Kyle Shanahan could do it, yeah, we saw in preseason Trey Lance can hit big passes. Fine, it's preseason. I get that. But you can put the training wheels on him. You have a running game. You have a tight end like Kittle. You can short passes. You can get this kid's confidence because you're not going to put him in positions to where, yeah, if they're behind, he's going to have to make some throws. But in the beginning of games, you're not going to put him behind the 8 ball to where he's going to be forced to make mistakes. You're going to build his confidence. And like you said, John, to your point with Kittle, that's going to be his best friend because he's going to get open. He can go downfield, but you have Debo and Ayuk, like you said, crossing, and there's Kittle wide open. So, Eric, to answer your question perfectly asked, that's why you can do it. Because you see what you have in Trey Lance, and look, Kyle Shanahan, do I think he put too much locks on Jimmy G? Whatever. We're not in the building. I think he did. But that's what they saw in Trey Lance, and that's why they could afford to do it. If you're, a last place team drafting this guy and you don't have the defense, instead of win now mode, you can't do it. But that's why. But if the Niners come out and win the West now, again, Jimmy G just made himself a lot of money next year.
And the thing is, it's just like I said, they're in win now mode with this team. John Lynch wanted one thing, Kyle Shanahan wanted another. Kyle Shanahan wanted Mac Jones. John Lynch wanted Trey Lance. John Lynch got his way. Clearly,
that's not true.
Yes, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch did not want the same thing. They butted heads on that, and John Lynch got his way. He got his guy in Trey Lance. Kyle Shanahan did not want him. He did not want Trey Lance. That's not his guy.
I'll have to send you some stuff that I'm not at liberty to share on air, but I'll have to send you some stuff, my friend.
All right. We'll stick a pin in that conversation because we only got a couple minutes left. Ladies and gentlemen, traditionally at this time of night, if we didn't do segments, we would do Eric's rant, but I think it's only fitting that tonight Eric's rant be done by another man. So I'm going to let him take the reins and have his moment and talk about his team. So doing Eric's rant tonight, John Scheer.
Swung on and hit in the air to deep left center.
To be the man, you got to beat the man. I just broke Eric Wilson and took his segment from him while the Eagles are playing on Monday Night Football. That's how much I own this segment. It's all about the Dolphins. Tua has the most passing yards in the NFL, tied for the most touchdowns in the NFL. Who are the two receivers that lead the league in yards? Oh, it's Jalen Waddle and it's Tyreek Hill. Came back to beat the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore with one of the best comebacks you'll ever see. The Miami Dolphins are for real. They play the Buffalo Bills next week. Don't know what's going to happen, but they got to make sure that they show up against these Buffalo Bills. So I see you down there, Mike. Get out of here. They will have Diggs next week. Miami Dolphins are one of the best teams. Tua's back. Dolphins are back. This is my segment now. I own this, Eric Wilson. During the Eagles game, I took your segment. I own this. So book it. Yeah, that's a book it. Dolphins are going to beat the Bills next week. I'm booking it, baby. You heard it right here. Receipts. I'm going to pick them next week in the pick 'em just so Eric can't cry and say I picked against my team. So the Dolphins are one of the best teams in the NFL, one of the most dynamic offenses in the NFL. So I hope you all eat it because this is all about John Scheer. This is all about the Miami Dolphins, and I absolutely love it. Tua leads the NFL in yards and touchdowns. So you can all eat that crow. I'm out. John's rant, baby.
Receipts next week, baby.
Well played, sir. Well played. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. Justin, again, thank you so much for joining us here tonight on the Sports Arena. We look forward to having you back. Anytime you want to pop in and spread some words of wisdom, let us know what's going on in your world, man. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
No, man, I really appreciate you guys having me on the show. Like you said, thank you very much. It's a great opportunity, and just let me know when I come back on.
All right. So from our man in the back, Ray Lynn, holding it down, our sports reporter without pay, not for long. John Scheer, Sideline Sports, Blue Hawks 13. Make sure you check him out tomorrow night, where it will be part 2 of him talking about his Miami Dolphins, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Mike Harris-Nuno with his new show, Pac-12 Football, on the Sideline Sports Network. Looking forward to seeing that. Make sure you follow him at Diablos00. Your man Eric Wilson. We will see y'all on Wednesday night. Everybody stay blessed. Have fun. Be safe. We will talk to y'all then. Peace.